The Department of Parasitology was an integral part of the Department of Microbiology from 1964 to 1978. It became an independent department in July 1978 under the headship of Professor Ramesh Chandra Mahajan. The name of the department was changed to the Department of Medical Parasitology in 2013. After Professor Mahajan, the department has been headed by Professor Nancy Malla, Professor Mohanlal Dubey, Professor Rakesh Sehgal, and currently Professor Sumita Khurana. The department is the only laboratory in the country dedicated solely for parasitic diseases and is a pioneer in medical parasitology diagnostics and research. Various tests, including microscopy, serology, cultures, and molecular diagnostics, are offered by the department. Many of these tests are in-house and not available elsewhere in the country. Various centers for quality control of parasitology diagnostics have been held by the department, namely centers of WHO, ICMR, DST, and other bodies. Currently, the molecular EQUAS of the Indian Academy of Tropical Parasitology is managed by the department. Various journals, such as the Indian Journal of Medical Microbiology and currently Tropical Parasitology, have been published from the department. Apart from PhD, MD, MSc, and BSc MLT courses, short-term training fellows from the WHO and various countries like Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Korea, and many others have been trained in the department. Various international collaborative research projects, including Indo-US, German, French, Australian, Japanese, and others, and national collaborative projects with RMRC Dibrugarh, NIMR New Delhi, CDRA Lucknow, SCIMS Srinagar, and others have been completed in the department. Numerous trainings and workshops for diagnostic parasitology have been organized by the continued even in the COVID pandemic in online mode. The Department of Medical Parasitology in PGI continues to work for the advancement of diagnostics and research on medically important parasitic diseases.
The Pediatric Surgery Unit has a rich history, evolving significantly since its inception as part of the Department of Surgery. Established in 1968 under late Professor I.C. Pathak, it became one of the earliest dedicated pediatric surgery departments in Northwest India, and by 1978 it achieved full department status. The unit expanded further in the late 1990s with the establishment of the Advanced Pediatric Center, where it was relocated in 1998. Currently we have 90 beds, including a neonatal surgical ICU, under successive leadership of Professor S.K. Mitra, Professor Krishna Yathav, Professor K.L.N. Rao, Professor Ram Smuja, and currently under Professor J.K. Mahajan, the department has flourished well. The emergency ward located in the ground floor of Pediatric Center is shared between pediatric medicine and pediatric surgery, accepting cases round the clock. The pediatric surgical services are located on the 6th floor with a general pediatric surgical ward with 32 beds. In the adjacent wing is a 27-bedded neonatal surgical ICU and ward, equipped with open care systems with warmers, ventilators, infusion pumps, laminar flow units, advanced blood gas analyzer, and central monitoring equipment. The same floor has an OT complex comprising of 4 operation theaters, 2 elective one-day care surgery, and a round-the-clock emergency table. The department also offers facilities for performing video urodynamic investigations for urological abnormalities. The department handles a significant caseload, managing over 4,000 elective and emergency cases each year. It specializes in a range of pediatric conditions, including gastrointestinal, urological, and thoracic cases, and is recognized as a major referral center for complex neonatal surgeries, performing around 800 to 900 neonatal surgeries annually. Education and research are key components of the department's mission, having trained 180 MCH candidates and produced over 1,000 publications in reputable journals. The department has been actively conducting various national and international workshops, CMEs, and conferences right from its inception, inviting eminent international and national faculties. Our alumni have spread across the globe holding important positions. However, we make sure to stay in touch through various alumni meets that have been organized over the years. We welcome you all to the Global Alumni Meet.
The Department of Plastic Surgery at PGI Chandigarh has a rich legacy as one of the first plastic surgery departments in India, established in 1966 under the leadership of Professor C. Balakrishnan. We were also one of the first to start MCH program in India. Then, in 1980, Dr. C.P. Sani headed the department and later Dr. Chari took over the reins. After that, under the leadership of Dr. Ramesh Sharma, Craniofacial Unit was established, and we also partnered with Smile Train, an international NGO for cleft and craniofacial cases. Under his leadership, we also started with the burn ICU. Currently, department is headed by Dr. Atul Parashar, who spearheaded endoscopic plastic surgery, a first in any government institute. The department is also high-volume plastic surgery center for brachial plexus injury, maxillofacial injuries, and microvascular reconstruction, to name a few. Last year, more than 5,500 surgeries were performed in the department. Last year, we added another milestone by establishing the first skin bank in North India, which was inaugurated by our director, Professor Vivek Lal.
Presenting before you the Department of Psychiatry. The Department of Psychiatry was started in the year 1963, 16th of September, and we celebrate this day as our Foundation Day of the department. These are some of the initial years photographs of the faculty, social workers, psychologists, and research workers and nursing staff. They are very old memories. Over the years, department has increased in the number of alumni, and we have more than 300 alumni. These are this Golden Jubilee celebration which we did in the year 2013. Over the years, the department has seen many heads, and these are some of the photographs of our past heads. And currently, department is headed by Professor Basu. These are some of the conferences. We had a good history of celebrating several conferences. We also organized the ANSIPS in 2005 when Dr. Ajit Awasthi was the Indian Psychiatric Society president. We have received many awards and honors, including a national award from President Ram Kovind sir. We are very active in organizing various functions, marathons, walkathons, and we are an active department of the PGI Chandigarh. We also hold many webinars and CME. Recently, we have started Distinguished Speaker Series in which many eminent psychiatrists and world figures across the globe have shared their lectures, and it is a teaching experience from our residents and other members of the department. We are also organizing Professor Enenwig Oration from 2018. We are also socially very active. We have organized picnics, as you can see from the old pictures and some of the new pictures. This is the normal trend of our department that we hold an annual picnic and annual dinner, and to cherish the memories and these beautiful memories. Cricket in the picnics and lots of fun-filled moments. Traveling in bus together, enjoying with the residents, with the faculty, students. We also hold annual dinner, in houses, house parties. So we have a very cohesive department, and we celebrate a lot in our pass-out parties of the residents.
everyone. I welcome you to the PGI Alumni Meet. Eyes will get moist when you see your alma mater. Your alma mater has undergone a radical change ever since you left, but you have taken the ethos of our alma mater across the globe. And I think the biggest jewel in the crown of any alma mater is its alumni. So when I became the director, I decided we have to have an alumni meet. It is because of the alumni across the world that PGI still stands tall. I welcome you. Namaskar. Long live PGI. Jai Hind.
समाज सेवा, जरूरतमंद की देखभाल और लाभकारी शोध के उद्देश्यों को फलीभूत करता भारत के चंडीगढ़ में स्थित है पीजीआई। 277 एकड़ में फैला यह अस्पताल मुख्यतः उत्तर भारत के राज्यों को मेडिकल सेवा प्रदान कर मेडिकल क्षेत्र के लिए नए आदर्श स्थापित कर रहा है। प्रधानमंत्री ने दीक्षांत समारोह में यहाँ खुद कहा था,
मैं पीजीआई से भली भांति परिचित हूँ, बहुत बार यहाँ आया करता था।
उन्होंने ये भी कहा था कि किसी को जिंदा रखने के लिए सारा जीवन खपना पड़ता है। पिछले 60 वर्षों में पीजीआई ने बेमिसाल तरक्की की। यहाँ हर साल करीब 1 लाख मरीज दाखिल होते हैं। देश के सुदूर प्रदेशों से आने वाले मरीजों को पीजीआई में सरकार की सभी लाभकारी योजनाओं जैसे पीएम जय, मुफ्त टीकाकरण, जन औषधि की सस्ती दवाइयाँ और विभिन्न एडवांस सेंटर्स द्वारा इलाज की सुविधा मिलती है। गंभीर रूप से बीमार मरीजों के लिए पीजीआई में बहुत से आईसीयू और एडवांस्ड सेंटर्स हैं, जो आम इंसान को विश्व स्तरीय मेडिकल सेवाएं उपलब्ध करवा रहे हैं। कोविड संक्रमण के दौरान पीजीआई का एक विशेष केंद्र कोविड मरीजों की देखभाल के लिए स्थापित किया गया। पीजीआई में सालाना लगभग 30 लाख मरीज इलाज के लिए पहुंचते हैं और परिणाम स्वरूप यहाँ हर सेवा के लिए लंबी कतारें हैं।
आशाएं जीने की मन में जगाए, असीम ज्ञान की धारा बहाए। आशाएं जीने की मन में जगाए, असीम ज्ञान की धारा बहाए। शिक्षा, विज्ञान और स्वास्थ्य का ये सेवा संस्थान हमारा।
दीक्षा भी है यहाँ, शोध भी, कर्तव्य का है बोध भी। भारत के हर एक प्रांत से आए हुए हैं हम सभी। हर शख्स यहाँ जो आया है, उसे रोग मुक्त कराया है। जीवन यहाँ अनमोल है, सभी की आस संजोया है, सभी की आस संजोया है। विश्व कल्याण सर्व मंगलम उद्देश्य है हमारा, संकल्प है संस्थान का, लहराएंगे परचम। हम है पीजीआई चंडीगढ़, हम है पीजीआई चंडीगढ़, हम है पीजीआई चंडीगढ़, हम है पीजीआई चंडीगढ़। आर्थ सेवा सर्वभद्र शोधश्च, आर्थ सेवा सर्वभद्र शोधश्च।
The Department of Anesthesia and Intensive Care has always been an integral part of PGI-MAR since its inception. To begin with, there were only 2 operation theatres covering major and minor surgeries. Nowadays, the department is running more than 50 operation theatres and at many places is providing round-the-clock services to the entire institute and facilitates more than 20,000 elective surgeries, more than 6,000 emergency surgeries annually. Besides this, More than 3,000 patients are examined in the PSC clinic annually, and more than 4,000 patients are enrolled in pain clinics. The department also looks after the critically ill patients at various areas in the institute. The Department of Anesthesia and Intensive Care is currently equipped with various advanced hemodynamic monitoring systems, neurophysiological monitoring systems, transcranial Doppler, and many other equipments like thromboelastography, ABG, which ensures the perioperative patient safety and care. The training program was started as the degree of MS Anesthesia by Punjab University initially, under the able guidance of Dr. Mehta. Later on, when the institute became autonomous, the degree of MD Anesthesia was started at the institute. With the evolutions of various subspecialties at the institute, the Department of Anesthesia has started 3 years training program in cardiac anesthesia, neuroanesthesia, trauma anesthesia, intensive care, and pediatric anesthesia, along with 1 year fellowship program in transplant anesthesia, obstetric anesthesia, pain management, and pediatric cardiac anesthesia. The department is leading in the research innovations and publications and has awarded numerous prestigious awards. The Department of Anesthesia is the largest department of PGI MER with a strength of 54 faculty members, 150 residents, and 200 technical staff. The alumni of the department are keeping the flag of PGI and India high throughout the world. So we welcome you all for the Global PGI Alumni Summit 2024.
Let conversation cease, let laughter flee. This is the place where death delights to help the living. With this profound aim, the Department of Anatomy was established. We are grateful for the legacy of late Professor I.J. Dewan, who served as Emeritus Professor and Head of Department from 1970 to 2000. Following his footsteps, Professor Madhur Gupta led the department from 2000 to 2008. Professor Daisy Sahni was head of department from 2008 to 2022. Currently, we are under the capable leadership of Professor Anjali Agarwal. Our current faculty, along with our support staff, form a robust team committed to excellence. We provide comprehensive training to various students like PhD students, postgraduate students, paramedical course students, as well as we provide tailor-made courses for various super specialty courses. Our department has been pioneer in starting BSc Embalming and Mortuary Science course. This is one of its kind in India. It aims to provide trained technical staff for various medical colleges. We have various skill and advanced labs like histology lab, molecular lab, dissection hall, embalming room, I.J. Dewan Anatomy Museum. We have a fully equipped molecular lab with state-of-art facilities such as cell culture, PCR, Western blotting, etc. Our histology lab has facilities for cryosectioning, immunohistochemistry, apart from routine histological staining. Besides routine dissections, the departmental dissection hall is well equipped with facilities like surgical operating microscope for the residents of the institute and walk-in cold room. The I.J. Dewan Museum is a hallmark of our department, housing an extensive collection of gross anatomy specimens like liver, heart, brain, and many more. Our department provides 24/7 helpline service for body donation and transportation embalming. Department is actively engaged in conducting hands-on cadaveric workshops in collaboration with various clinical and surgical departments of the institute. Department conducts annual workshop on organ talks, time to take prevention to create awareness among students and general public. Recently, we launched an annual hands-on training program aimed at providing immunohistochemistry training to students from all over India. These are some of the memories we made on a journey towards advancement of knowledge and skills.
The Department of Biochemistry was established along with the inception of PGI MER in 1962 as a center of national importance for teaching, research, and patient care. Since then, the department has flourished under the direction of 8 head of departments, with the present head of department being Professor Indu Verma, and currently has 8 faculty members and 1 emeritus professor. The department provides patient care in the form of biochemical tests performed in the biological samples of patients attending Nehru Hospital and the various outpatient departments. All the laboratories have fully automated autoanalyzers, and the department is regularly conducting proficiency testing of external quality assurance services for clinical chemistry and immunoassays. All major routine biochemical investigations are being done round the clock on emergency basis. The department also carries out tests for tumor markers, cardiac markers, nutritional profile, trace elements, and acute phase proteins. Every day, more than 20,000 tests are analyzed and reports are generated on the very same day. Various teaching courses conducted by the department include MD, MSc Biochemistry, MSc MLT, and BSc Medical Laboratory Sciences. The department conducts regular seminars and journal clubs on updates in latest scientific developments. The department also provides teaching support to 8 paramedical courses. The faculty is extensively involved in research activities related to basic as well as translational aspects, and currently has 14 extramural projects and 18 registered PhD students, with the cumulative research funding of more than 19 crores in the last 5 years, and extensive publications in national and international journals of repute. The department is well equipped with high-end facilities such as flow cytometry with sorter, AAS, GCMS, fluorescent microscope, and cell culture facilities. The department also boasts of 10 approved patents. Since 2004, the department is holding Professor R. Nath Memorial Oration instituted in the name of our previous head of department, which is delivered by eminent speakers from across the globe. The department is also regularly holding CMEs, conferences, and workshops. Many eminent scientists have visited our department to deliver lectures. We are proud that many of our alumni are holding prominent positions in India and abroad. The commitment of the Department of Biochemistry towards patient care, teaching, and research are reflected in the quote of Maya Angelou: "Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better." Thank you and Jai Hind.
Department of Biophysics was established along with the inception of PGI MER in November 1962 on the 5th floor of Research Block B, PN Chutani Block. At the time of its inception, the major thrust areas of the department were electron microscopy and electrophysiology. Subsequently, medical physics and instrumentation were also included in the departmental program. In order to provide clinical services to the patients, the department initiated the creation of radioisotope division, which was later separated in 1988 and converted into the Department of Nuclear Medicine. Currently, the department is headed by Professor Shalmali Bhattacharya. The department provides quality education and training in various areas like stem cell biology, biomaterials and regenerative medicine, cancer biology, cell physiology, computational biology, electrophysiology, etc. It runs regular PhD and master programs along with teaching modules for various undergraduate and postgraduate courses in the institute. It also offers short-term training programs to students from other academic institutes. The department also provides diagnostic services, H. pylori by C14 urea breath test, and analysis of renal and gallstone components by FTIR for patients at a very nominal
Something in the wind has learned my name, and it's telling me that things are not the same. In the leaves on the trees and the cherry trees, there's a pleasing sense of happiness for me. There is only one wish on my mind. When this through, I hope that I will find that tomorrow will be just the same for you and me. All I need will be mine if you are here. I'm on the top of the world, down on creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I found ever since you've been around. You almost put me at the top of the world. I'm on the top of the world, looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I found ever since you've been around. You almost put me at the top of the world.
Welcome to the Department of Histopathology, which started as a pathology department in July 1962 in a small building in Sector 11 and later shifted to its present premises adorning part of the 5th and 6th floors of Research Block A. The department developed under the legendary leaders starting with late Professor B.K. Aikat, Professor B.N. Datta, late Professor A.K. Banerjee, Professor Kusum Joshi, late Professor R.K. Vashisht, Professor B.D. Radotra, and Professor Kim Waifei, along with the doyens like Professor C.K. Banerjee and Professor Ashim Das. Presently, the department is headed by Professor Nandita Kakkar with 8 well-qualified and dedicated faculty members. The department is actively involved in patient care, academics and research, supporting a workload of reporting nearly 40,000 surgical pathology samples, more than 600 medical and 50 medico-legal autopsies, and many experimental samples requiring the examination of more than 4 lakh slides, including routine stains, special stains and immunohistochemistry per year. Besides, the department receives and reports nearly 800 electron microscopy samples, more than 2,100 DIF samples, more than 1,000 frozen section specimens, and approximately 250 fish and 300 samples for molecular testing per year, along with various research projects requiring the utilization of conventional PCR, RT-PCR, ddPCR, Sanger sequencing, and next-generation sequencing, to name a few. The departmental archival system includes a bank of more than 10,000 autopsy cases, more than 10,000 surgical gross specimens, and blocks and slides of more than 6 lakh cases. The installation of digital scanner has pioneered digital archival system in the country and announced the advent of the era of digital and telepathology. Dedicated, humble, and sincere technical staff, intelligent and honest residents, hardworking and conscientious faculty members, and updated and world-class instruments form the key pivots for the successful run of this high-throughput department. The department is the first in the country to offer DM course in histopathology, besides providing in-depth training in histopathology to postgraduates enrolled for MD pathology, PhD, MSc and BSc students as well. It also provides training in 2 postdoctoral certificate courses, including renal and transplant pathology and pediatric pathology, and 2 PGI fellowship courses like gastrointestinal pathology and dermatopathology. The department conducts reporting and rounds of more than 20 super specialties, including autopsy pathology. The training on autopsy pathology and the conduction of weekly clinico-pathological conferences, alias CPCs, is the most pristine tradition and academic treasure of the department. This is one of the most popular teaching activities for nearly 6 decades and is transmitted online to several national institutes and lately also being transmitted to Southeast Asian countries. The camaraderie, honesty and dedication of the staff, faculty and residents, even at the odd working hours, keep the department healthy and jubilant. At times, an overworked soul can peep into the coffee club for sipping a cup of coffee and delve into the timeless beauty of the lonely, misty blue mountains at the horizon.
Blood is the river of
Hello.
life, and within blood lies.
So Professor Vivek Clark, Director PGI, the chairperson of the PGI Global Summit, has arrived. Please give him a warm welcome.
To save lives. Founded in the year 1976 by Professor K.C. Das, the Department
Accompanying him is Dr. R.I. Sharma,
anemia, and introduced
the Secretary of the PCAS.
Haematology, a first in India. Guided by distinguished
I request you all to be seated.
Dr. Mohanty, Dr. Grewal, and Dr. Neelam Verma, we have made significant advances in various hematological disorders. Today, the department is led by Professor Reena Das, supported by a dedicated team of 9 faculty members who continue to carry forward this rich legacy of excellence. In patient care, we perform bone marrow procedures to assess cell morphology and utilize ancillary techniques like flow cytometry to identify the
A very good evening to one and all present here. Sadar Abhinandan or Abhar on behalf of the organizing committee of Global PGI Alumni Summit 2024 under the aegis of PCAS. A very I'm sorry about that glitch, it happened at the backstage. Technical glitch, you understand, we all understand that. So anyway, to begin again, a very warm welcome to you all, our esteemed alumni who have gathered here from different parts of the world and country to pay respect to alma mater and nurture their old memories as a very special audience. We also welcome our alumni who are watching this event online and send our warm greetings to them from the alma mater. The collective work is a secret behind the success, and indeed this mantra of working together has brought us all together on this event and the celebrations today. The idea of PGI Alumni Association was conceived by Professor Yogesh Chawla, former director PGIMR, who entrusted the responsibility to Dr. Krishan Gauba, head of department Oral Health Sciences, and also had additional responsibility of being the registrar of the institute, and Dr. Ratiram Sharma, the secretary of PCAS. The society was registered in 2019, and this event is a culmination of all cumulative efforts of all the people involved in it. Our previous director, Professor Jagat Ram, also infused energy into this association. However, we failed to organize such a meeting due to COVID pandemic situation. The idea of the present summit was conceived by the current director PGI, Professor Vivek Lal, the chairman of the summit, in an online meeting of executive committee of PCAS last year. This momentum took up this year under the dynamic leadership of Professor Vivek Lal, who provided the constant guidance and support all through this journey and has seen the light of the day today. We are extremely grateful you too, sir, for motivating us and giving this opportunity to host this evening tonight. Indeed, today is a big day to think of how far we have come and how far we have to go. With these words, I invite our esteemed director, Professor Vivek Lal, the organizing chairperson, Global PGI Alumni Summit, to the stage. He had been former Dean, Baba Farid University of Health Sciences, Punjab, and I request Dr. Sharma to kindly escort him to the stage. They're already on the stage. Wow. I missed on that. Well, so since the dignitaries are already on the stage, we welcome our dignitaries on the stage by flowers. So first and foremost, our gratitude to our director PGI, Professor Vivek Lal. Followed by Professor Yogesh Chawla. Professor Rajvanshi. So it's buffering, there's a little delay. Professor Rajvanshi. Professor G.D. Puri. Professor G.D. Puri. And last but not the least, Professor G.D. Puri. He just arrived. We have to thank him. He had a tough time coming over here. And last but not the least, Professor Amit Chakravarti, who is the international coordinator of this PCAS Global Alumni Summit. We welcome you all here, sir, with a hearty, warm welcome. Thank you all. Now I request our Director PGI, Professor Vivek Lal, to deliver his welcome note.
Okay, come on now. 3 cheers for PGI. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Yes, that's it. So I welcome you all to this Global Alumni Meet. And I am so happy to have the founding fathers of PGI on the first and second rows. And I'm also happy and delighted to welcome each and every one of you to this August Alumni Meet. Someone was telling me yesterday that लोग कम होंगे. मैंने कहा लोग कम हैं या नहीं है, warmth में कोई कमी नहीं होगी, which is what matters. And if I am correct, that warmth is already more than visible of all persons to meet me, because the first person I met was my bum chum Rajiv Dattatreya. I stayed in room number C1 and he was in C7. Am I right, Rajiv? Where are you? Rajiv? Okay, right. So he was in room number C7. And the reason I remember him very fondly was, those were different days then. जब हम 11 बजे night duty तो out of question, day duty करके जाते थे, तो whenever my room used to open, C1, so there used to be one crate lying. A crate would then come in from behind, the garden. And I would run and call Rajiv, help me, we've got to kill the crate. So he once told me, you also become an expert in killing crates. मेरे को बार-बार बुलाता है, अगर मैं नहीं हूँगा तो क्या होगा? And that was PGI during those times. Those were different times. They were wonderful times. They were powerful times. They were innocent times. Swami has come all the way from Bangalore, and he traces his legacy onwards and backwards to Mayo. He decided to kick Mayo and come to PGI Chandigarh to give this lecture. Thank you so much, Swami, for being with us. Swami, I received him in neurology when he joined PGI as a first year. Am I right? That was the first time that a first year came to neurology in the first 6 months. Normally, posting in neurology meant you are 6 months already into the system and you have been brutalized for 6 months. But he began his baptism on the very first day and I received him in the corridor. The rest is history. I just have 2 things to say about PGI. No person can outgrow his alma mater. No one can do that. And is directly because of the seeds of intellect, the seeds of thinking, the seeds of commitment जो आप सब ने हमारे अंदर बोई, वो और इतनी डीपली एम्बेड हो गई है कि निकालने पे भी नहीं निकलती. कोशिश करते हैं हम भी कमिटमेंट थोड़ी कम कर दें, होती नहीं, because that is how we were trained, that is how we were nurtured by our founding fathers. This institute can never repay its founding fathers. I see Professor Naresh Panda, unke guru Dr. Y.N. Mehra. I can tell you we can go on taking names. Mrs. Chopra was the first house surgeon in neurology and she boasts of it. Mrs. Mahajan, I'm sorry. And Professor Chopra would often talk very fondly about her. But those are times which guide us in full glow and in full glory. If we have to take our institute forward, so the only way to do it is follow in the footsteps of our founding fathers. Please remember, वो जो हमें हरियाली दे गए, जो ज्ञान की ज्योत वो हमें दे गए वो बुझनी नहीं चाहिए, वो बुझनी नहीं चाहिए। अगर वो ज्ञान की ज्योत बुझ गई, then that is a sad commentary on the state of affairs. I can promise you one thing, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the most august alumni which are sitting here, Amit is there, उनके साथ प्रोफेसर पुरी साहब बैठे हुए हैं. There's one thing I can always promise you. आप लोग आए हैं, we will feel honored. आप लोग चले जाएंगे, we will feel privileged. ये alumni meet, I would want it to happen every year or maybe at least once in 2 years, if not every year. ये पहली meet है after a long time. It just took off spontaneously. Professor Amit Chakravarti had come, तो उन्होंने ताना मारा कि आप हमको तो बुलाते नहीं. That is how it all started. वो ताना यहाँ तक explode कर गया. Am I right? So कई बारी सही दिल से ताना लगाया हुआ, सही दिल से ताना मारा हुआ can lead to such lovely consequences. I wish you all the very best. We all know what PGI stands for. We all know what PGI means to the society. People talk of Harvard, people talk of Yale, people talk of Oxford. I know they are valuing in luxury. But जो net asset value PGI की society के लिए है, that is more than those 3 institutes put together. I can tell that to you without any doubt. I am talking not from any other angle, I am talking holistically. If you integrate PGI's contribution to the society in terms of producing the best students, in terms of producing the best teachers for other colleges, and in terms of treating patients at a cost that will make others laugh, our net asset value, head, body, torso is ahead of any medical institute that I can count on. With these words, I once again welcome you all. आप लोग आए हैं. I am so grateful to each one of you. I hope you have a wonderful time, and I also hope that you take back fond memories, loaded hearts, if not loaded bags. Namaskar. Long live PGI. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. As always, the power-packed welcome address. Always energetic or dil se. Thank you, sir, so much. It's time to know a little bit more about the PCAS, for which I invite Professor Yogesh Chawla to brief the audience about the PCAS. Sir, please.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure, and I feel honored that finally the Alumni Association did take off today, being the first one. Some of our seniors who are sitting here with us would remember that there used to be a couple of PGI alumni meets. But then somehow these were not registered, they were not taken, they were not followed up properly. But way back in 2013, when I visited Vellore, they put me in the alumni house, which is the guest house of CMC Vellore. And each room had a different name. So I asked them, what does this mean? They said, this is our alumni who have contributed to the guest house, and depending on the price of the room, they have contributed that. So this was something very impressive, and I felt, why can't we have something in PGI also similar? At the same time, there were a lot of reports coming in the newspapers that the IIT alumni has been contributing 200 to 500 crores of rupees to their institutes every year. Of course, we cannot match with the engineers because they are associated with industries and corporate world. But certainly that again is something which highly impressed me, and it impressed a lot of people then. That was the time when we started thinking about having a proper alumni When we went to the registrar's office, we had the whole list of the students who had come out of PGI. Unfortunately, their addresses were not properly kept. The email addresses again were missing and incomplete. So we felt that there should be a separate alumni cell. And we, for those of you who remember the old PGI, where the State Bank of India was, we picked up an area over there and called it as the alumni cell, which would be the future of the cell that, or the alumni which has started today. We know that PGI has a large family tree which is distributed all over the world and in India. And each one of them is doing extremely well. Whosoever comes out of PGI is always held in awe, so much so that even the class 3-4 people who are working here, whenever they go out and say that I work in PGI, he is looked at differently as compared to the others. So that is the importance of PGI, which has grown over the last so many years. Contribution of the faculty, the alumni is huge, and that is the reason why all this has happened. But as Dr. Vivek has said, our founding fathers like Dr. Chutani, Santokh Singh Anand, Professor Aikut, they were the ones who actually started the tradition of good academics and research and patient care in the institute. There was no culture of 9-to-5 work. People used to work beyond 5 p.m. And the academic activities, even till now, start at 8 o'clock in the morning, which is not emulated by any other place in the country. So our alumni have done extremely well, and at least in the field of gastroenterology and hepatology, I can say 2-3 people who are well known throughout the world. One is Patrick Kamath, who is in Mayo Clinic. He keeps coming to India every 3 to 4 times in a month. But the entire Gulf group of people go to him to show to Mayo Clinic if anyone has a liver or a gastro problem. The other doyen which has come out of this institute is Nageshwar Reddy, who has turned from a gastroenterologist, still working as a gastroenterologist, but now is an entrepreneur and is the CEO of Asian Institute of Gastroenterology, which probably is the best in the world. I'm sure there must be many more in their own different specialities, Anupam Agarwal in nephrology, Brian Pereira, and many of them which I don't really know, and I have not been able to be in touch with them. So the purpose of this meeting is not only to get connected with our own PGI group, but also start having networking with them. And as the constitution I would come through shows that the curriculum, everything needs to be supported from our experienced alumni who have seen different countries and different hospitals in the world. Lastly, I would say that recently the CMC Vellore was given a grant of 500 crores by Aziz Premji. Have we had any grant in PGI? Have we been able to collect any money? Unfortunately, if at all, it has been in smaller numbers. In All India Institute, Sudha Murthy, I think, had given also a good amount. So it is time that we wake up, ask our alumni to help us at least with their networking, or if we have our own networking, to have contributions to the alumni fund, which would become a benevolent fund for the institute, and you may not have to follow the government rules and regulations to the perfection. You can have a fast track course on it. So that was the genesis of this PGI Chandigarh Alumni Association. for which we have met together. Now, this is something which I want to highlight again. In 2015, Mr. Richard Verma, some of you would remember, he was the US ambassador to India, and he had to go for a visit to Gurdaspur. But he made it a point, and we got letters from the ministry, letters from the US ambassador, that he wanted to visit PGI. And it was a Sunday. All head of the departments we had called. And this visit was only to say a big thanks to PGI for all the type of excellent doctors that PGI has made and who are helping the institute, at least in US. And I'm sure it happens in UK, everywhere, wherever our PGI products go. Our society got registered in 2019, and there is a website. The committee headed by Professor Rajvanshi, Ratiram Sharma, and many others worked very hard for getting this registration of the society. And there are different aims which you can go through. The objectives of this society was also very well indicated in the Constitution, which again I'm sure you would have time to read it through. The serving director of PGI would be the chief patron of the society, and now it's Professor Vivek Lal, but all former directors and deans would be the patrons and advisors to association. And you have Professor Rajvanshi, Vanita Suri, Rajveer Dahiya, Viman Saikia, Ratiram Sharma, Pankaj Arora, and Dr. Dharamveer Chauhan, who are the international advisors and the national advisors for this meeting. And there are this is the group of people who were the national founding members. The overseas founding members' credit should go to Professor Rajveer Dahiya, Professor Dharampal Chauhan, Professor Pradeep Dudeja, Uttam Garg, Professor Sanjay Kakkar, all of which have contributed to the upcoming of this society. And of course, Professor Amit has been a leader in this. The composition of the executive committee, the duties, etc., is something very routine and nothing very different. And the eligibility for membership has also been outlined in the Constitution. So membership fees and membership drive during convocations has been the target for the group. And now any student who enters the institute gets an email, and it would be more easy to follow up these people. So this is one of the alumni publications from the Department of Haematology, and I, as the former director of PGI, welcome you all for this very first event of PCAAS from 25th to 27th. Enjoy. PGI is still the same, PGI is still the best, and it will remain the best with support of all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the very articulate overview of PCOS and giving us an overview and brief about the activities of PCOS, and also giving an insight that how the alumni of this institute can support the institute in still further progress of the institute. Thank you so much, sir. With this brief welcome and introduction, it is time to move on to some academic activities of the evening, and I request Dr. Astha and Dr. Savleen, my co-host, to continue the proceedings. Before they join in, I would say, sir, PGI is still not the same. We have come a long way, and I'm proud to be here, proud to be associated with PGI. It's like a mica to me, and we all love to go back to our micas. Am I right? All the girls, please make a noise. Thank you. So Dr. Savleen and Dr. Astha, please.
Thank you, ma'am. I, Dr. Savleen Kaur from the Department of Ophthalmology, And I, Dr. Astha, from the Department of Neurology, welcome you all once more. It is time now to move on with the academic session for the evening, as just pointed out by ma'am. And it is our absolute honor to have the chairpersons of today's sessions already on stage, who have all been illustrious alumni of the prestigious PGIMR. We welcome Professor Rajvanshi, who's Executive Director, AIIMS Raebareli. Sir completed his post-graduation in pathology from PGI in 1981 and MRC in pathology from the Royal College of Pathologists, London, 1994. He was also the head of the Department of Cytology and Gynecological Pathology, PGI, from the year 2003 to 2020. He has been the Dean Research, Dean Academics of PGI, and has been the professor in charge of the National Institute of Paramedical Sciences, PGI. We welcome you, sir.
Our august audience needs no introduction of Professor G.D. Puri, Executive Director, AIIMS Jodhpur, former Dean Academics and Head of the Department of Anesthesia, PGI. He completed his post-graduation from PGI in the year 1982 and his PhD in the year 1994. He specializes in cardiothoracic and vascular anesthesia and intensive care. He was instrumental in the development of advanced pediatric cardiac program at PGI. He's also a fellow of National Academy of Medical Sciences and Pulmonary Vascular Research Institute, UK. We welcome you, sir.
We also feel privileged to have our third chairperson, Professor Amit Chakravarti, who's also an alumnus of PGI and the international convener for the PCAS meeting. Professor Chakravarti is consultant urologist at Poplar Bluff. He was the chairperson of Urologic Clinics of North Alabama PC and director of Center of Continence and Female Pelvic Health. He has been on the board of trustees of American Associations of Physicians of Indian Origin, counselor, 5th Congressional District Caucus, Medical Association of State of Alabama, president, Society of Indian American Clinical Urologists, chairman, Ethics and Grievances Committee, American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, past president, Alabama Associations of Physicians of Indian Origin, and has several awards and publications to his credit. A hearty welcome to all of you. I now request Professor Arvind Rajvanshi to kindly introduce our first speaker for the evening, Lieutenant General Dr. Daljit Singh. Sir, please.
Good evening. It's my privilege to introduce Lieutenant General Dr. Daljit Singh, AVSM, BSM, retired. He has been the former Director General, Armed Forces Medical Services, and Honorary Surgeon to the President of India. He is an alumnus of Armed Forces Medical College, Pune. He has done MD in Pediatrics and DM in Neonatology from PGI-MER Chandigarh. He happens to be a alumni of the institute. Fellowship, he got a number of fellowships: National Neonatology Forum, Indian Academy of Pediatrics, National Academy of Medical Sciences, FAMS. He is a certified national trainer for neonatological resuscitation program and is senior advisor pediatrics and neonatology at Command Hospital Bengaluru, Command Hospital Pune, and Air Force Hospital. I invite Lieutenant General Dr. Daljit Singh to give his talk.
Sir, bookcase ले जाएं? Yeah.
Chairperson, sir, Director Dr. Vivek Lal, the former directors of PGI-MER, Chandigarh. My teachers in the audience, seniors and founding fathers, alumni of PGI from across the globe, ladies and gentlemen. I was sitting in that seat for about last 1 hour or so, and around me were the senior people, the founding fathers, as we have just heard. They were wondering who is this young fellow sitting here. So everybody, they would greeting each other and they would say, who are you? I said, I am also an alumnus from this very institute. And when were you here? Sir, 98, 2000. Oh, okay. So they were wondering, where is this young fellow sitting here? So sir, I want to tell you, I have a great association with PGI. PGI was born in 62 and I was born in 62. So that's where my association starts. In fact, when this slide was projected, one of the ladies on my right said, "Ye kaun baitha hai? Kahan hai ye? Dikh to nahi raha." So, ma'am, I'm a newborn specialist. To see the preemies, sometimes it's not easy. And if they are in the incubator and you're a little away, it's really difficult to see them. So, but all the same, they are visible from a small size, they grow, and that's what neonatology is all about, that they bring the small preemie to a size, and then we talk about it. Churchill was a preemie, and so was a preemie, trying to give a claim to our specialty that we are also doing a great job. This is not US, though I know there are alumni who have come from US. This is us, and us is alumni from PGI. I had come here on the foundation day on 8th July, 7th July is the foundation day of PGI, and 8th July was here. That time I had talked about why PGI is what it is, which has been amply brought out already by Dr. Lal and Dr. Yogesh Chawla, that the founding fathers, it is the founding fathers who made the difference. The vision of Pratap Singh Karon, the initial directors, Dr. Tulsi Das, Dr. Santokh Singh, Dr. Shotani, and the eminence continued, and an atmosphere was created. The atmosphere which was created was to ensure that whatever was enshrined in the mission statement of PGI Chandigarh. If you look at the mission statement of various institutions, medical institutions which have come across in country around that time, in 1960s, etc., they all have almost similar mission statement. They're talking of healthcare, they are talking of research, they are talking of good training, good teachers, and they're talking of community outreach. Because that was the dream of the founding, our own, Jawaharlal Nehru at that time, that this is how the medical institution should be, and that's what every place was trying to emulate and put into practice. But the way it happened here, as has already been brought out, as is visible, as is known, and so well known, that the way PGI has been able to come up to these, and not only come up to these, transcended these. PGI has gone much beyond what was enshrined in the founding mission statement for them, and it all happened because these founding fathers, and as the tradition continued, created an environment. And an environment in which the junior doctors, when they came here, they did their learning, they did the patient care, and they did the research in that environment of self-discipline. Dr. Yogesh Chawla talked of 8 o'clock. He talked of people continuing beyond 5 o'clock in the evening. So that atmosphere persisted, and it continues to persist. An insistence on doing things rightly, an insistence on sticking to the truth in whatever you're doing. I was, when I was resident here, it was insisted upon that whatever you say, please mention what exactly happened during the last 24 hours and not try to, the mistakes were admitted, the wrong things were admitted if they had happened, and everything was then threshed out. That culture has continued. So self-discipline, a culture of honesty, truthfulness, and somewhere a dedication within you. Who other than PGI would have this kind of things? Only armed forces. And it's from there that I went on to talk about armed forces medical services. That it's how do the armed forces medical services contribute to nation? And Dr. Lal talked to me when this event was to be held, that what we had talked at that time, why don't you again come and tell the alumni who are coming from all over about what armed forces medical services are doing. At that time when I had come, I was the Director General Armed Forces Medical Services, and I had some perspective of what Armed Forces Medical Services are doing. I have superannuated on 30th September this year, but I'm the ex-Director General now, so to say, but I have some idea what I have picked up, and I have seen as to what the Armed Forces Medical Services in particular, and Armed Forces in general are doing for the nation. And as I go along, this is what I will be talking to you, and also after that, I try to see what we, as alumni of PGI, how can we contribute in some fashion. The Armed Forces Medical Services are one of the largest public health sector organizations of this country. The regionalization of healthcare with a hierarchical oversight mechanism has ensured that the primary, secondary, and tertiary healthcare is delivered in a very effective manner to the clientele, which essentially are the serving personnel and the retired personnel and their dependents. But this is not the primary role of the Armed Forces Medical Services. The primary role of the Armed Forces Medical Services is to provide combat medical support, the operational medical support. That operational medical support is to see that every soldier at the border, when he becomes a casualty, he's saved. He's taken care of. Every Indian life matters. And that's what is the primary role of Armed Forces Medical Services, whether he's at border or in sea or wherever he could be. The role of Armed Forces Medical Services is primarily that. And apart from this, in the operations which could be during wartime or even during peacetime, you see counter-insurgency operations keep on happening in Northeast, in J&K, all along. This is what Armed Forces Medical Services have to do. And in addition, wherever there is a disaster, in India or abroad, a disaster which is whether natural or man-made. Actually, even the natural disasters, as you learn about climate, are usually man-made, and in the man-made disasters, the wars are one of the man-made disasters, as we have seen in what is happening at Israel, Hamas, and Ukraine, Russia, and things happening here and there in the world. So wherever these disasters take place, the Armed Forces Medical Services are there to provide the relief to the diseased, the injured, the hurt, and the further component, the psychological relief to people who are involved in those tragedies. I'll give you the example of one unit. This is Agra. Most of the VIPs, when they go to Agra, naturally they go to see Taj Mahal. But when people from South Korea, when they go to Agra, it is not Taj Mahal that is ticked in their itinerary. It is 60 Para Field Hospital. 60 Para Field Hospital is the only paratrooper field hospital of Armed Forces Medical Services. Here you are seeing this is the defense minister who had come during COVID times. Here is the deputy minister from there, deputy protocol minister. He's the chief of the army staff of South Korea. They're saluting somebody here. Who is this whom they're saluting? This man is Colonel Rangraj. Colonel Rangraj, MVC is Mahavir Chakra. And why are they saluting him? And why are they here with all these people? What are these people who are having these maroon berets? Some of you may know who have had some, there are many in PGI Chandigarh who have army background, I am aware of it, that these maroon berets are only worn by people who are paratroopers all over the world, for that matter. So these maroon berets, all these people you can see, they're all wearing maroon berets. So this unit 60 para, and these people coming here, and Colonel Rangraj was the first paratrooper of Indian Armed Forces, not the Armed Forces Medical Services. He was the first paratrooper of Indian Armed Forces. And the story that I'm going to tell you relates to the times when Second World War had finished. Korea was under Japan. So after Second World War, Japan, had been defeated. Korea was divided into two halves. One half was North Korea, which was supported by the communists, which continues to remain like that today also. And second half was South Korea. Both the governments tried to say that we are the legitimate government. And in 1950, an inter-Korean war started. Inter-Korean war, now North Korea attacked the South Korea. In this war, the communists, as of today also, we know that the Russia and China, they give support to North Korea. At that time also, both these countries gave support to North Korea. South Korea was supported by UN at that time. 21 nations, they sent their forces to South Korea to tackle the invasion which had taken place by North Korea and the supported communist people. India at that time, when Jawaharlal Nehru was at the helm of affairs, he said, we will not send our forces, but we will send a medical team. So they sent a medical team of about 350 people, which had 4 surgeons, 2 anesthetists, 1 dentist, and it was commanded by Colonel Rangraj, whose photograph I just shown. This is Dr. Baldev Singh ji was at that time the Defense Minister of India, and he's seeing them off. This is the 50 para-field ambulance at that time in November month of 50 that it went to Korea. They went to Korea and they were there for 3.5 years. In those 3.5 years, Korea lost 3 million people. 3 million people. And these people, Korea had no medical facilities of their own. And for these 3.5 years, Colonel Rangraj and his team, with the devotion, and the professionalism which is peculiar to paras. We just talked of the kind of training which PGI gives to its residents in the night, day, the way they work. Paras, you can imagine the toughest training the postgraduate residents get in PGI or any other hospital, not in the country, anywhere in the world. The training by paras, for the paras, is even more difficult. The training that they undergo and the hardships that are able to withstand when required are much more than that. So that's the kind of tough material that these para people are made of. So these people were part of because there was the airborne unit, wherever the American forces would get para dropped, they would be there to help the casualties there. The civilian casualties, wherever they would occur, the para people were there. If the prisoners of war were brought, they were there even for them. So in 3.5 years, these people won the heart of everyone. The enemies, the friends, the 21 nations which had gone there as part of the North Korea team, and they were honored by everybody. In fact, India was late in honoring them, and that was because at that time Jawaharlal Nehru, and the government did not want to openly go against the Russian and Chinese regime at that time. And Australia, US, UK, South Korea, this is the general, this is the chief of staff of South Korea honoring Colonel Rangraj here. This happened much later when President Rajendra Prasad gave the citation to the unit 60 para. And not only they trained, they set up hospital, not only they treated people, they set up 4 hospitals there. And this is one of the AMC officer, Captain Grewal at that time. He is training the Korean people, their doctors, their paramedicals. They were trained. This is again here Colonel Rangraj with one of the casualty, one of the Koreans who is there on the ground and taking care here. This bridge is very famous. This is a bridge over River Han. You must have heard of Han Jian, who has recently got the Nobel Prize for Literature. Han is a very common word in Korea. So this bridge, before the bridge broke, because the shelling was going on all the time, the bombs and artillery, these para people managed to get their train They drove the train themselves across this bridge, and soon after that this bridge was broken. And when they got that, they put water in the engine with a bucket. So they were, you must have seen a lot of movies, Second World War based movies. It's an exciting movie by itself, how they drove a train, carried their assets along, and soon after the bridge was broken, and they continued to serve the people for 3.5 years. So does the story finish there? No. Why I'm trying to talk of this story to you? Any medical unit which is responsible for taking care of patients will take care of patients. What's so great about it? They are trained for this. I am trying to bring across to the gratitude of South Korea. South Koreans remembered it, and till date, as I mentioned, I showed you the photographs. Whoever is a dignitary from South Korea, they go and offer their gratitude to 60 para. In 2020, it was 70 years of Korean War, and at that time, every month was dedicated to a war hero. During the month of that war hero, that war hero's photographs were displayed all over the country and at National War Memorial. And July of 2020, Colonel Rangraj was the war hero of South Korea. How many of us remember our war heroes, is my gentle question to all of you. We go further. By the way, Colonel Rangraj, after he left armed forces, he was part of WHO, UNICEF, and was in a big way involved in eradicating smallpox, first from Afghanistan and then from Bangladesh. Again, 60 para. So wherever 60 para is one of the field hospitals of Indian Armed Forces, which whenever a disaster takes place, they're always ready and they move. In Nepal, apart from many other units which moved, this is again 60 para which moved, and their doctors are there, and all these are the paramedicals, and you see the way they're going about their things and doing things over there. And then in Indonesia, we were the only foreign country which had gone and helped them, and again it was 60 para. And what I want to bring further down to you is this slide. Why? Because when this happened, I was at the helm of affairs, and I was involved myself in this operation. You are seeing here 60 para, these maroon people with Turkish men and women. It is their farewell that they have organized. And look at the smiles all these Turkish people are having, and the para group. The Chief of Army Staff at that time honoring the CEO of 60 para. In any unit, Subedar Major is the CEO and Subedar Major. Subedar Major is like, he's not an officer, but he is the most important person because he's the one who actually commands the men, and then CEO, commanding officer, commands them. So the CEO and commanding officer and the Subedar Major are being awarded the citation by Chief of Army Staff General Manoj Pandey at that time. And of course, here they are with the Prime Minister himself, because Prime Minister honored all of them when they came back from Turkey. And they were also awarded for this year, 2024, Subhash Chandra Bose Abda Prabandhan Puraskar. What did they do there? What is so special that, these people are being honored by Prime Minister, by Chief of Army Staff, and the Turkey people are also so very, part of them. 6th February 2023, that's when this 7.8 Richter scale earthquake struck Turkey and Syria. Within 48 hours, we had gone and established, this is just before they left from Hindon, this is the team they left from Hindon Airport in Delhi. In less than 48 hours, they had gone and established themselves. They were the first people to go and establish themselves as level 2 hospital in a place called Iskandarian in Turkey. This is Hindustan Ordusu Sisinel. Ordusu Sisinel is Indian Army for you. And this is the, you never see this together, but here you can see them together. And the way they did things there, the way again the same dedication, the same devotion, the same professional attitude that the paras carry. Turkey is not a pro-India country. It's a frankly anti-India country. The kind of goodwill that they carried, all the Turkey, the Turkey people, the way they were, here's the CEO, and when they were going, when they were leaving, this is the farewell that they are giving to them, all these people, after all that they had done. It was unique. We came back in 10 days after earning the goodwill. And of course, political things keep happening the way they are, but immense goodwill was earned. This photograph at that time, this is a girl. This is a girl who is a doctor. She was para-officer, and this is a Turkish lady embracing her here. And this had gone, viral at that time, and this had happened in February last year. 60 para is only one of the field hospitals of Indian Army. There are 99 field hospitals in Indian Army. And all of them are doing something or other across the border, trained in same fashion, not as great as 60 para, because I told you paras are special, but equally dedicated, equally devoted. They're carrying on their tasks everywhere. Not only in India, again abroad. Wherever you have a UN peacekeeping force, we have presently UN peacekeeping force in Sudan, Congo, Lebanon, Israel. You all know what is happening in all these places, and the UN tries to take care of the casualties, try to bring the peace there. Even must have heard in the news that the UN peacekeepers were also, some of them also became casualties. So wherever they are, the armed force, this blue beret is specific of UN peacekeeping forces. So wherever they are, the armed forces medical services earn the praise for their dedication, devotion, and importantly, non-partisan way. And what is this non-partisan way? That they treat the enemy as well as the friend. They treat the locals as well as the wounded, whether of the rebels or the government, because it's normally everywhere where things are happening, going wrong, whether Sudan, Congo, Lebanon, there is a rebel group and there is a pro-government group. They're treating everybody there. The way they are doing is earning great laurels, and great laurels for the country as well. Is that all that we are doing in armed forces medical services? The heights of Siachen. Siachen is, all of you would have heard the name Siachen. It's 20,000 feet. The temperatures are minus 30 to minus 60. So normal physiology doesn't work there, and that is where the AFMS along with the armed forces are ensuring that the enemy does not come across to this nation, enter this nation and create difficulties for us. And it is, let me tell you, if you have had some relatives in armed forces who have done a tenure in Siachen, they will tell you that we don't allow them to stay more than 3 months there. That within 3 months, they already start undergoing changes of some of the changes of physiology are so difficult that, it's not only the blood, it's not only thrombosis, it's not only polycythemia, it's not only the hypoxic damage to brain, things can happen much more than that. So whatever is happening there is, it is least said the better, but whatever is happening is beyond human thresholds, beyond human capabilities that these people are taking care over there. Incidentally, in high altitude, last time Dr. Puri was talking to me, PGI also has been involved in a big way till some extent, till a certain point of time, in looking at the high altitude problems which our forces, when they go to the high altitude areas, face. And in that, high altitude pulmonary edema, cerebral edema, these are not the issues with us now. Our issues now are thrombotic problems. Sudden unexplained events that occur, how can we prevent them? And that's where the research is happening, apart from the environmental exposure, which causes a lot of problems, and that's what we look at. The things are happening, it's a day-to-day war. As 2 lakh people are posted, whether in the Arunachal side or in the J&K, Ladakh side, Leh side, and beyond that, and Siachen, and everywhere the physical aspects, the psychological aspects, the AFMS is addressing it on a day-to-day basis, engaging with them. A lot of work is happening, but a lot of work still needs to be done. This 153GH is the only high altitude research center for the medical problems in India is located at Leh, and this is where the 153 General Hospital is located. All these people basically, whenever you have a problem at heights, get the people down. That's the dictum. And as they are brought down, the problem, apart from thrombotic issues, all others get solved. So that's what we generally do, whether it is 153GH or Udhampur or Chandigarh or R&R. The evacuation, the chain of evacuation is laid down, the people are brought down so that the best care is available to our soldiers and the officers. This, all of you, you know, this war is known to everybody. And who all are there here? Can you identify any of them? It's not everybody's Vikram Batra. There are others also. 26th July was the date we celebrate as the Kargil Vijay Divas. It was Operation Vijay that Indian Armed Forces had launched because the people from across the border had come across and occupied our heights. And what heights? The heights which were steep, peak-like, again 5,000 meters, that means 15,000 feet or so. And here they were at this place, this place, this place. And why had they occupied these heights? Because across that was a NH1D, Srinagar Kargil highway. They were overlooking, and once they were here, they were just disrupted the Srinagar Kargil highway. Once that is disrupted, the Ladakh is cut off from rest of the India. Once that is happened, it is easy to take over Ladakh, whether by China or by Pakistan. And once that is taken over, then they come to J&K again. This is what the plan was. And think of the people who went, they are sitting here pouring gunfire down, and you're going up, and you have to scale those places and push these people out. 527 of our soldiers and men, officers and men died. Young officers, a lot of young officers died because they led the assault during that time. Here is Vikram Batra. This is Vikram Batra. And that is the time when again Armed Forces Medical Services came up in a big way. At Kargil there is a hospital. Whoever died there, he died. We could do nothing about that person. Whomever we could evacuate by air immediately, we did that. But there was a hospital in Kargil and had a surgical team at Kargil. They did 300 surgeries and 1 death. I'm not trying to put things just for the sake of it. So this is what this young team of surgeons, anesthetists and the paramedicals did at MH Kargil in trying to see that the numbers which can be brought down to the least possible number of our brave Indian soldiers can be brought down. This is a young boy, that time, again, captain. He was with the unit, as the unit was going on, one of the Rajrif units, RR units as they call them. He was with them up the cliff, and as the people were, he had given the same confidence that you come to me and then I will take care. This boy is a brigadier today, and he risen high, going well, a community medicine specialist and doing very well today also, and did a great work at that time. Look at these people. Can you identify all of them? Can you? I talked of this one, anybody can identify because of the movies which have happened. Vikram Batra, the Sher Shah. Isn't he sitting like, as if he owns this whole place? The look at this young boy's face. A lion, he owns this whole of Kargil, that's the kind of look he has. But do we know these people also? Do our children, when we talk of, we say South Korea is doing great work. They honor their war heroes. These people died in 99, and you are the best of the people in, globally, and PGI's I bow my head to all of you, they were all very great. But how many of you know the names of these 3 people? Tell me honestly. There must be one or two people. I can see one hand raised there, and that's all, or 2 hands. Is that so? Is that what we are, these people who are dying for us in the borders there? This is all we know about them. We are very great about our scientific things we are doing, research we are doing, patient care we are taking care. Great, great, great. I give it to all of you. But we owe nothing to them. We are here because of them. If these people did not stay there and we had allowed Pakistan to come in, we would not be here. And we don't remember hardly 99. This man, he could be one of your sons. Your sons are in Seattle, your sons are in Boston, your sons are here, there and everywhere, or maybe somewhere in India. He is not anybody's son, or he is not anybody's husband. Or this young boy, look at his eyes. He's also looking at future in the same fashion as your children are looking at. What were they looking for? They're looking at you. These people were looking at you when they died there. Can't we even give a thought to them? Can't we even remember them in some fashion? Wherever you may be. This is Manoj Pandey. Who doesn't know Manoj Pandey? The man, you must have heard of Marcus Aurelius, a great warrior. He used to, apart from winning the wars, used to give great thoughts. Great thoughts. Read sometime Manoj Pandey's diary. You will find how cerebral he was. He could have been any of the places which your children are occupying. This is Adhikari, Major Rajesh Adhikari. He had a daughter, he had a wife. And this is Anuj Nayyar, a young Delhi brat. Here he is. They were ours and they died for us, and we don't know them. How many of you know Rizangla? Rizangla. I hear 2, 3, 4, 5 hands of Rizangla. You know what was Rizangla? Today is October, we are in October 24. Pakistan, India, Indo-China war took place in 62. Same year we are talking, PGI was founded. In this date, Indo-China war was going on in 1962. Exactly 62 years before. And in Razangla, what happened? You must all know what happened in Razangla. It's very important for all of you. If you do not know, you need to know. If you know that PGI was founded in 1962, a great institution was founded, you need to know what great sacrifices were made by the Indian Armed Forces in 1962 to ensure that institutions like PGI come up to the standards to which they are coming up. 120 soldiers of 13th Command Regiment. China had started the war on 20th October or so. Again, Ladakh, same area. 13th Command Regiment was given a responsibility to protect an area which, if not protected, Chinese would come across and occupy what was called Chushul airfield. Once Chinese had occupied Chushul airfield, they would have taken Ladakh. Again, just the Pakistan was trying to take Ladakh. All these countries have been doing same only since 47. They have been trying to take over Ladakh. They took over Tibet. Now they are trying to take over Ladakh. So that once Ladakh is with them, J&K is with them, and next door they are with us. They were trying to this. And at that time it was perceived that this 13th Command was put to defend that border, 40 kilometers long border. And they thought that with 13th Command, this unit was positioned, this company of C Company, Major Shaitan Singh's company was positioned, 120 soldiers. The Chinese were very unlikely to come through that. And they had not provided the best reinforcements there. And Chinese had all the intelligence. And they came only through that area. So coming through that and going to Chushul would have was a very unlikely thing, but because Chinese, because of the intelligence they had from our side, they thought we'll attack this way. And they did this. And these 120 soldiers under this Major Shaitan Singh, this man, and he did not get any support. That time, today we get RT support. And bombs, first the bombs are fired and then the people move on to fight. These people had no such support at that time. The Chinese, it was on 18th November, the war had already was continuing for 1 month. 120 soldiers stopped 7 waves are the platoons coming and attacking. 1 wave, 2nd wave, much better organized. And they neutralized all of these 120 soldiers. They killed 1,300, more than 1,300 Chinese soldiers. 1,300 Chinese soldiers, more than that, with much inferior equipment. And after this had happened, nation did not know of it. It happened, and on 20th November, China declared unilateral ceasefire. We can't say whether China did it because they were facing difficulty here, or they had fulfilled their objectives, or that is for people to keep on writing books about. But 18th of November, this unit of 120 soldiers, 110 soldiers died. Only 10, 5 were prisoners of war, 5 went back. Nobody believed them. The soldiers went back and told their seniors, they did not believe them. They said, oh, you're talking nonsense. Because the area had become inaccessible, excessive snowfall, nobody could go there. Nobody believed that these 120 soldiers had, withstood much larger Chinese forces and had saved the country at that time. It was in February next year, February 63, that a search party went there and they saw these 110 soldiers who had died. How were they standing they were in trenches. And how were they standing? The one who somebody had a grenade, he was frozen like this. Grenade in the hand. Somebody he was frozen, they were all frozen there, the dead and frozen. The gun in the hand. The medical orderly, he had an injection in the hand, a bandage in the other hand, he was frozen like this. They're all frozen. And then the nation woke up, and then the nation gave the honors. And if we don't remember them, whom else do we remember? If our history books don't tell about these people, if our children do not know about them, who else will talk about them? Do we not need to know about these people? You may do great, you are great intellectual people, you are great researchers, you are great doctors doing great work. But remember that why are you able to do this great work? There's somebody, just think, put yourself in that situation. You say, oh, it's their task, they are paid for, protecting our nation, they are in army, and they should be defending the nation. Think yourself, here is death. Would you walk into death yourself? Ask yourself honestly. How many of you or your children would walk into death? Here is the death coming and I walk into death. These people not only defended the death from coming to us, all of us, and walked into death. Diwali is very close. These people never came back homes to celebrate their Diwali with their families. In Diwali, all of us have light lot of diyas. One diya we light in home which burns for the whole night, in front of the main deity, Mahalakshmi. This year, can we light a diya for them? I request all of you sitting here. Can you honestly do it? And while sitting in your OPDs, can you tell your patients that when you go back this time, put a diya which burns throughout the night for these brave hearts. Ek diya shaheed ke naam bhi. Can you do that? Can we think of doing it? I request all of you to think of it, do it, and not only this year, please do it every year. A country which does not honor its protectors, that country fails one day. Remember this. We are a great nation. We must keep great spirits. We must advance into future with the best technologies, best things that should happen. But we must remember the people who have been behind us. We look into past to see these people who have propelled us forward in their own way, and the brave hearts should be remembered. And this is all I'll request all of you to remember on this Diwali, when you sit in your worship home and light the diyas. Kindly light a diya for Ek Diya Shaheed Ke Naam. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for that beautiful rendition of patriotism in medicine. You have asked us to light diyas, but you have ignited the light of inspiration in our minds. Now I please request Professor G.D. Puri to introduce our second speaker, Dr. S. Swaminathan.
I welcome Professor Sundaraman Swaminathan, who has honored with the endowed chair, Professor of Indian Institute of Science. He had inaugural chair, Department of Nephrology, Division of Medical Sciences, Associate Faculty, Department of Bioengineering, Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, India, and also Adjunct Faculty, Mayo Clinic, Arizona, Phoenix, USA. He has been bestowed with lots of awards, some of which are Angela and Annie Marinelli Endowed Fellowship from Mayo Clinic, Rochester, the George Ackerman Award for Outstanding Faculty in Internal Medicine from the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences, Red Sash Award from the College of Medicine, University of Arkansas, Teacher of the Year in Nephrology and Transplant Nephrology from the Department of Medicine, Mayo Clinic, Arizona, and multiple other Best Doctor and Teaching Awards. So I welcome Professor Sundaraman Swaminathan to this alumni meet.
Thank you, Dr. Puri. First of all, I want to thank our director, Dr. Vivek Lal, for giving me this opportunity. And it's a great honor to speak on this topic in front of my teachers and my gurus who are here in the audience. Many of my colleagues are here in the audience, and speak in the same alma mater where, I learned the basics of medicine like 30 years ago. So my life journey really took me to travel quite far. In the last 20 plus years, I was in the USA, and then recently I'd come back with the sole aim of doing something to our society and to our country. So I recently joined the Indian Institute of Science, where I am now. Thank you, everyone. So how do you define health? Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely an absence of disease or infirmity. So this is actually Gross Foundation meditation room. It actually faces the east direction in Mayo Clinic. And on the other side, you see the book of Mayo Clinic Integrative Medicine. So one of the fundamental principles of caring for patients, it's not just enough that you treat the patients, but how you are spiritually connected, and spiritual healing of the patient is extremely important, to the holistic care that we provide. So Mayo Clinic believes in the faith, the values, and spiritual practices, and they are vital resources for healing and well-being. So this is something I want to show. And also, why do we need spirituality at all, in medicine, or how it relates to science? See, if you look at mental health issues, it's actually growing, and in a very disproportionate manner. It's actually the faculty, the students, the trainees who are going through, even in school children who are in the middle school or in high school, they are significantly affected by mental health issues, drug addiction, depression, so on and so forth, stress. So I will take some inspiration from what little I know from study of ancient scriptures. Most of them I'll quote from our Indian scriptures. Little bit I'll quote from other religions in which I know little, not underestimate their role or contribution to the whole knowledge, but try to tie it together into a scientific underpinning and understanding. So that's the effort here. So let us start with the Taittiriya Upanishad. So this Taittiriya Upanishad, it comes in Yajurveda, and it talks of what we are constituted of, into 5 different sheets. One is the Annamaya Kosha, which is the body. Anna is also food. Our body is also Anna, which is also a food, eventually. Or the tissues, The second thing that comes is the Pranamaya Kosha, because, the body, the structure of the body that we have, then it has a life in it as a breath. That's the Pranamaya Kosha. Then we have the Manomaya Kosha, which is the mind and the intellect, mind primarily. Vijnanamaya Kosha is the intellect and the discrimination. And then the last one we have is the Anandamaya Kosha, which is the innermost core of all of us, which is actually bliss or happiness. So let us start with each one of them. And I'm going to start with what is Annamaya Kosha. Annamaya Kosha is the body or the food. So now, because food is the most essential thing we do, eating is the most important thing we do. So this is actually from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 24. And in that, it says, Brahmarpanam, this is a prayer we recite before we eat food. Essentially, the meaning of that is that, prana, Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagno Brahmanahutam. In that, it says, prana pana samayuktaha, prachaminnam chaturvidam, pacham meaning digestion. And the food gets digested into 4 different types. It's very profound if you think about it. There is a gross component of the food that gets digested, and then it gets broken down into certain molecules, like carbohydrates, fats, or whatever you can say. Then it gets digested into even smaller molecules, which permeates into our cells, like flavonoids or whatever, even smaller molecules you can think of. Then it gets digested into a 4th, still less detectable. It could be in the level of atomic kind of nature. So the food has 4 components. That's what Bhagavad Gita says, which is scientifically true. But then what is mindful eating is that prana apana sama yuktaha, sama meaning equal, yuktaha meaning in balance. So essentially, you need to be in a balance what you eat and what gets consumed in the body. So this is one of the foremost things while we are eating. Now what we do, we have a cell phone and we have a video playing, or there is a traumatic television event that is happening. We pay very little attention to what we eat. So that is not mindful eating. So mindful eating is when actually you pay attention to what you eat. And because all these forces, they have to be in balance for the food to be properly digested and split into these 4 different components, which leads to the essence and well-being. So this is the habit of cultivating conscious eating. So be aware when you're eating and say that, this is what I'm going to focus on. Have a family table, sit around, and then people don't even talk. If you're doing a conscious eating, don't engage in a very serious conversation, which kind of disturbs your mind, distracts your mind, and you're not paying attention to what you're eating. Rather, you should be actually paying attention to what you eat. So this is Mindful Eating from Harvard Health blog, and retrieved on March 3rd, 2022. So they talk about reflecting, sitting down, turning off the TV, setting out your portions, picking a smaller plate. So the most important next thing is giving gratitude. Be thankful. Be thankful to the person who cooked the food. Be thankful to the farmer. Be thankful to the plant. To everything. There is so much to thank for that you have a plate of food which is there. And eat in silence and chew well and swallow. So also this is another thing, there is a relationship between me eating and sleep. Make sure that at least there is a 3 to 4 hour interval between eating and when you go to sleep. So this is another very important concept when it comes to eating. So now, if we talk about moderation in eating, so this shloka in Bhagavad Gita is a very good inspiration. This is chapter 6, verse 17. It says, Yukta ahara viharasya. Yukta meaning moderate, ahara is eating. And then, of course, it goes on to say that you need to have a balance in work. And then you need to have a balance in sleep and wakefulness. You don't want to sleep like 12 hours, or you don't want to sleep like, 3 hours and be awake. And bhavati dukkha ha. Dukkha is sorrow, ha is like removal of sorrows. So this is a very simple thing which has been said. So moderation in eating, or moderation in indulgence, so in Bhagavad Gita. So now if you go further, in Taittiriya Upanishad, this Bhriguvali, it actually talks about something really fascinating. So here it says, if you look at this thing, they say there is the 4th line, ahamannam, adantam, admi, Meaning, like, very interesting. It says, see, I am the food which is eating the food. Meaning that I am the food, meaning that I am the body, which is the food, and I'm eating the food, which makes sense. But then, if you're going to overindulge, the food starts consuming you. That's what it means. So this is a very subtle kind of a thing that says, we know that, if you're overindulging, if there is obesity, then, there is autophagy and so on and so forth in the process that happens in the cell. So now the power of intermittent fasting. So this, going back to Narada Purana, so fasting on Ekadasi, this king Rukmangada, he could not be killed by Yama. So these are things like, not that there are characters which are there, maybe they were there, but the purpose is to give us the principles, the scientific principles behind this in a way that people or society can understand. So they put it together in a way that, Yama could not come near somebody who is fasting on Ekadasi. So meaning that, fasting is conferring some benefit to reduce the risk of dying, isn't it? That's what this story kind of conveys. So the fasting is across cultures. It's not just exclusive to Hinduism or Indian culture. It's there in Christian Lent, it's there in Ramadan, and in other cultures as well. So why this fasting became such a profound thing? And as we know that, this paper published in New England Journal of Medicine 2019, it has shown that there are significant metabolic adaptations to intermittent fasting, which leads to various signaling changes here and improves stress resistance and increases brain-derived neurotropic factor signaling, which increases neurogenesis and synaptic plasticity, and so on, and increases ATP production. So it's a very powerful way people have shown that intermittent fasting could be beneficial in terms of wellness and longevity. So there is a reason why in our culture, our ancient, our ancestors said that fasting could be beneficial. So adding more to this here, you could refer to other references as well. So now what do we know about, being sedentary? Was anything known in our scriptures? I mean, we think that, everything we discovered in the last 200 years, which is untrue. People were as smart and they made observations and they put it in a different manner. So this shloka actually comes from Satapatha Brahmana from Yajurveda. This whole thing is about Charaiveti, Charaiveti. Charaiveti meaning like move. That's what it means. So what this literally translates is that, like, somebody who is an avid wanderer, his middle body becomes physically healthy. So literally it talks about Madhya Deha, which is middle body. So this truncal obesity is not something we discovered now. They were aware that if you're physically active, then you are physically fit and there is no truncal obesity. So now we spoke about food, about water. So there's a very interesting thing about water. So there are like multiple kind of suttas just on water in Rig Veda and Yajurveda, and of course Atharva Veda I don't know, but from Rig Veda I quote. So what it talks about is that, like, water is got all kind of medicaments, and water has Agni, meaning like fire, right? It means it looks counterintuitive. How would water have Agni, right? And it turns out that it says that it's very kind of subtle, and the modern discovery, we know that water is H2O, and the interaction, the Haber-Weiss and Fenton reaction, where you generate reactive oxygen species, which is fundamental, mitochondrial ROS, is centered around the water molecule. So this is something, the Agni which we are talking about, are the electrons or the oxidative species which is hidden within the water molecule. So now, not only that, now we talk about water giving longevity. What is the evidence? So this paper was published in eBiomedicine in 2023, where people have shown that hydration, and you measure that, by the presence of, increase in plasma sodium or not. And essentially, there is the biological clock correlates with the hydration status in a longitudinal study. And then if you go to even, something like C. elegans, or you take like an oocyte culture model, And then you treat them to increase aquaporin-mediated water transport in the cell. They used a molecule called cyclodextrin. What they've shown is that it actually increases longevity in these models as well. So water is not just that we drink, what we do for alleviating our thirst. Water has some very fundamental functions in our body which could be important. So if you don't drink enough water, then you may accelerate aging process. So now there is about 1/3 of Rig Veda is about Agni or fire. We keep reciting, and then people do Havan and we talk about Agni and so on and so forth. And then they say that Agni supports long life. What it is, there are different types of Agni we talk about. Jatar Agni, Chitta Agni, and Bhuta Agni and so on and so forth. If you look at it, Agni is nothing but, in the gut, it is the proton that is getting secreted, the acid, and the digestion process itself. Then at the level of the cell, it's actually the mitochondrial function, and in the brain, the Chittagni is the intellect. So this now we know that gut health is extremely important for longevity. So now we have looked at Annamaya Kosha. Most of it is in the body at this time. Little bit we looked at water and fire. So now I go to a very interesting story. So this is Markandeya Purana, where Markandeya, he was a kid who was about to die. So then, the story goes this way. It says that if he go and hugs Shiva, then Yama comes and he can't kill him. So it's like a story, right? That's how, our parents have told us. But then if you go into this very interesting thing, what it turns out, there is a Tripura Rahasya, which is related to this, in that they talk about the last line, yogis who practice the control of breath conquer fate. Even fate cannot impose its fruits on yogis. So there is a secret in the Pranamaya Kosha, or the breath, and longevity. That's what this story tells us. So now, if you go and look at various animals which breathe slow, so this is from National Geographic. These animals have the longest life. So there seems to be an inverse correlation with the rate of breathing and how long a creature would live. So now, if you look at tortoise, it lives for 1,000 years. So now if you go back, and interesting, so this actually, the pranayamic practice was picked up by, US scientists, and then they discovered a device which was FDA approved, and it cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then, patients can use this, and it reduces blood pressure by 10 millimeters of mercury. And it is actually a recommendation by the Mayo Clinic to prescribe this device to patients. All right? So the principle behind this was actually inspired by what we already knew. So there are a few other papers, and one another paper I forgot to add here. My friend and colleague names Dr. Gautam Sharma also has done a very similar work with the yoga and breathing practices, how it helps with orthostatic hypotension. But again, there are many such papers where breathing techniques are beneficial, and there are many different types of breathing exercises, as you can see. I'm not going to go into that. So essentially, we have looked at water, Agni, hydration, and breathing. So we looked at food and prana. Those are the two things we have looked at so far. Now the third thing I'm coming to is mind. See, how does mind really regulate our health and wellness? So if you go to Bhagavad Gita, this shloka from chapter 14, verse 20, talks about conquering the threefold nature, where you are excited, where you are dull, or where you are upset, all that, you have to transcend all that. Then if you reach that state, Bhagavad Gita says, you conquer death, jara, which is old age, and all kind of things. So which means that none of us are going to do this, because we know that it is extremely difficult to reach that state, where you are going to somebody is pricing you, or somebody is kind of treating you bad, unequally. Perfect equanimity of the mind. It is so difficult to achieve. So that is why all of us live about 60, 70 years, get age, and die. But it turns out it's very interesting, the ability to have a perfect control of emotions resides in the prefrontal cortex, lateral prefrontal cortex, and the anterior cingulate part of the brain. And then it controls the animal instinct and so on and so forth. So how do we do it? And it turns out that, if you are able to do meditation, there are many different types of meditation, then it can actually benefit you. So this paper was published in Proceedings of National Academy of Sciences. So there was a yogi, he was a European yogi, he was in Netherlands, and then he challenged a scientist there, Peter Pickers, I know him, he is a nephrologist, that you inject endotoxin into my body, I will not react. So then he got a permission from the ethics committee of Netherlands, and then he did this practice called third eye meditation, and then with some breathing exercises, pranayama, and exposure to eye spotter, and so on and so forth. And then they injected LPS. There is very little response. There is no increase in interleukin 6 or TNF alpha, no febrile response, no tachycardia. I mean, they were really shocked. So then he trained 10 other people. They repeated the study, but in those who trained and who didn't train, the data was again consistent. So this kind of tells you even biological phenomenon, when you're exposed to toxin and so on and so forth, at a very core level of immunity and biological thing is regulated by yoga and meditation. So these are some of the data. For the sake of time, I'm just going to skip this. And this other paper, again published in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences by my very dear friend Senthil, where they did a large-scale genomic study looking at what happens when people do, meditation retreat. So they looked at before and after, and there were controls. And what they saw was that there was a significant activation of antiviral immune pathways, particularly centered around interferon, when people did this type of meditation practices. So this is some of the data here. Now, for the sake of time, I'll just move forward with this. And essentially, these are people they were protected from, some of the, COVID-19 severity and so on. And also, these type of practices, meditation practices, it's not just affecting your immune system, but it actually, you can look at the correlate in the brain, in terms of brain waves. You can look at functional MRI or so many other things. Some of the research is going on in Indian Institute of Science as well. Some of this data is from Harvard, where they have set up a center for consciousness research, and where my friend Bala is heading that, and they are finding these type of things there. So increased gamma power versus controls is what they are seeing there in their thing. So this type of changes in the consciousness that yogis were able to achieve. Now we are seeing this with the modern tools. This is what was called as the turiya, or the fourth state of consciousness. So I'll come to that in a minute. So essentially, what they've shown is that not only that there are structural changes in the brain with 8 weeks of meditation in the hippocampus, temporoparietal region, amygdala, and so on and so forth. So you're actually inducing neurogenesis. You're restructuring the circuits. You're now changing from being reactive to being able to respond in a way that you're conscious, you're aware, right? So these are some of the other changes I'm seeing, and if you go back, it's no different. This blue eye meditation, what Peter Pickers published, is what we look at Shiva, sitting in the ice of Himalayas, closing his eyes, controlling his breath, and that is what has been told to us. So now sunlight and health, there is quite a bit of data and multiple things. I don't have to go into that because we know that sunlight is essential for health. So then after that, I go into sleep. So what do we know about sleep? We think sleep has waking and dream sleep, REM, and then deep sleep, right? We read it in our textbook. I don't know who discovered it. Maybe somebody, a sleep medicine expert, can say that. But I'll tell you, this was already described in our Upanishad 5,000 to 8,000 years ago. So this actually straight I'm bringing from Upanishad and its Sanskrit interpretation. I'm not, this is not from anywhere else. It's there. And the Om, what we see is actually the stages of sleep. And what is the other interesting thing is this is Ratri Suktam from Rig Veda. So I've learned this sutta, so I'm able to interpret this. So what it says is that, sleep, it says, is a urmi. Urme is urmi. Urmi is a wave. So at that time, they knew that sleep is a wave. It's very interesting how they were able to say that. And then they say that, sleep is got a very active process. We know now that sleep is not a passive process. Sleep is an active process where we are removing all the, type of tau pathology and everything. So I'm going to go here and say that yoga and sleep has got other benefits as well. And coming to a couple of last slides here. So we started with Agni, fire, food, and so on and so forth.
Swami?
Yeah.
Swami, just wind up quickly. We have another talk after this.
So this is the last thing. They say that go to the society. So this is the last sukta of Rig Veda. It says that, we should be unified, we should be together. Susasahi, that's what it is. Harmonious social connections are very important for health. And so I'm going to finish this here, and just to say that, thank you. And science and spirituality, they are not very separate. And I'm thankful to many people here, to our rishis, to gurus, my gurus from PGI and the gurus who wrote the Vedas and the nature, and several other collaborators, from whom I've learned many of these things. And thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for taking us along the spiritual path in a very scientific way. I now request Professor Amit Chakraborty to introduce the third and the last speaker, Dr. Vijay Mahajan, for the evening.
Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Dr. Vijay Mahajan, who is the Chief Medical Director of Tagore Hospital and Heart Center, Private Limited at Jalandhar, Punjab. He did his MD in medicine from PGI Chandigarh in 1975 and started his own multi-specialty hospital in the name of Tagore Hospital at Jalandhar in 1979. His major achievements are he started a heart surgery program in North India in 1991, served as the chairman of Ethical Committee, IMA Punjab from 2007 to 2011. He served as the president IMA Jalandhar branch in year 1982 and 1994. He got the PGI Alumni Award for Excellence in Medical and Social Services and Himachal Gaurav Award by Himachal Government for Excellence in Medicine and Social Services. Welcome, Dr. Vijay Mahajan. Thank you.
Respected Chairman of the Organizing Committee and Director of this esteemed institute, Dr. Vivek Lal, other office bearers and members of the Organizing Committee, my dear alumni from all over the globe, and other members of this August gathering. I've chosen this topic as I strongly feel that the doctors of our country are highly stressed professionals than most of the countries of this world. My talk is divided into three parts. The first part consists of causes of stress in the medical profession and its adverse effects. The second part consists of its management, and last part consists of management of the stress in general. Today I was in a little bit of confusion whether to call Dr. Vivek Lal dear or respected, because I have seen Dr. Vivek Lal in his school dress. Myself and his mother started their medical profession right at the same age. She was my senior in Jalandhar in one of the charitable hospital, and I've seen them coming in the school dress to the hospital to meet their mother and they were famous. Vivek and Naveen being the most brilliant students in Jalandhar. So today when he crossed me, he called me sir. So I don't know where do I stand, but definitely we are proud of you, sir, for having reached to such heights. Yes. This talk of mine is mainly dedicated to this great personality. He's my mentor, because one day he called me to his office. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I am doing DM and I have already passed 7 months in the DM. He said, "I give you advice. Future lies in the private practice. So if you get a chance, this is my vision, to go into private practice and do something better than others." So luckily he got a job for me in Jalandhar, and I joined one of the charitable institutes there. And look at this man. 6 months later, he himself came to see what I was doing there. Here is his photograph of that time in that charitable institute. So he was one of the legends which we can never forget. Before I talk about the stress in doctors, we must know what stress is. Because it is the gap between our expectations and reality. More the gap, more the stress. So we must remember that we should expect nothing and accept everything in our life. That's how we can reduce our stress. What does this stress do to us? Stress leads to unhappiness and ultimately to illness. That is the final result of the stress. Stress is inevitable. It will continue to be present regardless of gender, age, social class, wealth and profession. So all category of people, human beings, would be affected by the stress. But one thing we must know, that stress is not necessarily harmful. It can be an asset as long as it is tolerable. But once it crosses the physiological limits, it becomes toxic to body. Because remember, if you are looking for somebody without stress in this world, they are only the dead ones. And I'm sure as physicians, as doctors, you will not give this prescription to any person having stress. So this is the definition of present-day doctor. It's not a joke, it's truth. He is stressed, depressed, oppressed, but well-dressed. So at the exterior, he looks very calm, quiet, very well-dressed, but in heart of the heart, today's doctor is really, has all these three features. He is stressed, he is depressed, he is oppressed. So, what are the causes of stress? I think the stress starts from day one you plan to become a doctor. First is difficulty entry into the job, into the profession. I used to keep on my two sons or daughter, pado, pado, pado. Every time after them, yaar exam pass are pado. But that was the only thing we used to tell our children. You will be surprised to note that the number of students who committed suicide in Kota, the students from medical stream were the highest. So that is the situation as far as the entry into medical profession is concerned. And then of course, once you have got into the profession, passed some examinations, there are no campus replacement like engineer, like other people, and jobs are very scarce. So these all lead to stress. Then there are poor pay packages. One of the government in Punjab started paying 25,000 to the doctors, which were lesser than to the contract doctors, which are lesser than some of the PN working in that particular hospital. So that was the situation at one stage or the other. And even if you have passed your degrees and you have come out to the field, you still have to prove your worth. So you have to work hard when you have come to the field. And there, of course, if you become famous, you become overworked. And look at the number of people waiting for you. That's also the cause of stress. And if you don't get any work, look at the empty chairs. That's also stress. So you have to prove your worth everywhere where you go once you become a doctor. What are the other causes? This is very important. We are powerless creatures and soft targets. So everybody comes and puts his pressure on us, but we have no powers like IAS officers or other police officers. So everybody targets us. That's very unfortunate. And there are ruthless laws. In Punjab, there are 52 laws which are applicable to the medical profession. Look here, doctor jailed for violating sonography norms simply because he had not filled one form. So he was put behind the bars. That is the state of affairs, and this all is cause of stress in the medical profession. Then it is hostility. This is an IMA study which has shown that over 70% of the doctors have faced violence at their workplace. But this number has gone up. To me, it seems at 90 to 95% of the doctors at this stage must have faced violence in one way or the other. That's another cause of stress in medical profession. Every time you are worried that somebody may pounce upon you and use violence. What it has done, this is from a study which was published in the Indian Journal of Clinical Medicine sometimes back. It has 5 Ds. 14% of doctors were found on drugs. 21 of all doctors consume alcohol in larger amounts. 20% are antidepressants. And 7 to 9, now this figure has gone to 15%. And in divorce and suicides. Doctors have the highest incidence of suicide than any other profession in this country. So look at the gloomy picture that we have. And if that was not enough, this slide is very important. The average life of a human being in India is 69 years. But the average lifespan of doctor in India is 59 years. So we live 10 years lesser than the normal public living in our country. And I have collected the American figures also. Their average life is 79 years. So they live 20 years more than we do in our profession. And mostly due to stress and stress-induced diseases. How to manage them? We need to change ourselves. This is the effect. Consumer court. Behind every consumer court case, there is always a doctor. You see, most of the cases are taught by the doctors to the patients. And look at this statement. I'm sorry I have to show this picture because it was widely published in most of the newspapers. If the legend like this, डॉक्टर हुए लालची जल्दी अमीर बनने के लिए कर रहे हैं अनावश्यक सर्जरी. This was in national TV also. If these are the statements of such legends, then what impression it leads on the general public, you can yourself imagine. So we have to change ourselves. to change our image before the public. Now, we have to change the public also. It's not easy job. One thing is, people think we are next to God, which we are not. Because if something goes wrong, that God becomes a shaitan. So this is a misconception among our people. Once they come to the hospital, they come with folded hands, and if patient even dies a natural death because of old age, then you become a shaitan. Another thing is, people think doctor will never fall ill. One day I took a tablet of paracetamol in my office, and two patients were sitting in front of me. अच्छा डॉक्टर साहब आप तुसी भी गोलियां खाते हो, तुसी भी बीमार होंदे हो. This is very common. This is a misconception among the people. And the worst thing is, in our country is, doctor can be contacted anytime. At midnight, anytime. The mobile phones have spoiled the whole game. Now they contact even the village people. Only day before yesterday, I received a call. It was 11 o'clock at night. I was deep sleep. And they said, Doctor Sahab, gas bahut ban rahi hai, limca pee lama. Limca pee lama. Honestly. So, I wanted to throw my phone away. For the small thing, they have made me get up from my bed. So, another thing is, doctors are not supposed to go on a holiday. You go for holiday for 4 days because there is no appointment system in our country. So many people come in your absence. Acha doctor wasi aise tusi ta mile nahi. Hanji. And they will keep on repeating this time and again. Hanji. So, and last thing is, doctor should not earn money. That's another thing. These are old hakims and baths. They used to charge hardly any money, and now I feels a doctor may be getting maximum 500 to 2,000 fee, and if you see at the lawyers, they charge in lakhs. But to paying to the doctor always pinches them. So, but public must be made to realize, and this leads to most of the ills that the profession faces. I am happy that the doctors remain united, and they made that very powerful movement went. But still, there was no support from IMA of the country. Anything, we doctors, or we as human beings, keep on working day in and day out. I've seen larger cities, doctors go from one clinic to another. They at least go to 2 to 3 clinics every day, traveling miles of distances. But they must know that money is not everything in life. I'll keep this slide for a second. I would request to go through this slide, because money can get you anything. It can get you a big house, but not home, costly medicine, but not good health. So remember, money is not everything in life, in our life, and don't run after money and waste your precious time. Set your goals, and these goals must be realistic and need-based. Most of us adopt practices which are unethical, but we must remember that the needs can be met. But if we can become greedy, greed can never be met. There is no limit to it. So let's be ethical, be honest to our patients. That is the best thing. Another thing we don't do in our life is learn to say no or to accept no. I have been fooled in my life also. When I was doing my DM in medicine, so one of my colleagues got married, and he said, Dr. Mahajan, 2 महीने जरा आप double duty करो. So I accepted it, and there was nobody to support me. So, and make adjustments in the life. You can't have a better person than him who made adjustments in life. And look at him. He ruled the country for 10 years. So we keep on looking for right employer, right employee, right spouse. Everybody feels other person's spouse is very good, she is very beautiful, but it is not the thing. I think we have to make adjustment with our own spouse. And of course, if you want to rule the country, you have to behave like this. Yes, very important. We have time for everything, but not time for ourselves and our family. I would recommend that we must have at least one meals with our family. Our children have problem, our spouse has problem, other member of the problem have problems, they are under stress. We must spend some time with them. Maybe the dinner is the best time to sit with them and know about it. And then, of course, the moderns, I have the young colleagues, they hardly have any children. They don't want children, and they fall prey to what is called double income, no child. This is, and now, of course, it has, the work has become, look at the gynecologist wife and neurosurgeon or cardiologist as husband. One is on night duty, other one is on day duty. So double income, no sex. So from Din's syndrome, they have come to Din's syndrome. So this is a reality I see in so my younger colleagues. Then, of course, these are the stress busters, I need not tell you, but we must have hobbies, diversions in our life, and we must take a break and go on a holiday. And if you relax, you can be more productive. So please make it a point to go on a holiday and try to find time to relax if you want to be productive. So these are basic fundas. I need not tell you about the hobbies, they are mentioned there. And work is everything in life. We as doctors keep on working day and night, but we don't stick to these basic fundas. Role of exercise, very important. I will advise every doctor to get a 1 hour early in the morning, do some yoga, do some exercise. It just takes 1 hour to do all three things. And my previous speaker has talked about meditation. Mind you, it's just 45 minutes to 1 hour that you have to spend on these three things. Because exercise and yoga provides you healthy body and healthy mind, and meditation provides you mental relaxation. So please get a 1 hour early in the morning, go to bed 1 hour early in the evening, and please adhere to these three things. You will be healthy, wealthy, and wiser. This is one of the PGI Alumni award I got in one of the alumni meet. It's Dr. Walia here, excellent child specialist. And thank you for a patient here. This was my village in Chamba district, small district, which is no less than Switzerland. And this is the aerial view of that village, where I have a small garden and a small house. Thank you so much for patience.
Thank you, sir. That was indeed de-stressing. And as we end the day, a much needed dose. Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but also the parent of all others. We count our blessings as we express our sincere appreciation to all the speakers and dignitaries. I request our worthy director, sir, Professor Vivek Lal, to kindly felicitate the speakers of the day. I also request all the other dignitaries on the stage, Professor Chawla, Professor Rajvanshi, Professor Puri, Professor Chakravarti, to kindly join us. I request Lieutenant General Dr. Daljit Singh to kindly come on the stage. And a round of applause for our dear sir. Thank you again. I request Dr. S. Swaminathan to kindly come on the stage.
I know why you came back from USA.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Vijay Mahajan again on stage. Thank you, sir. Sir, may I also request you to felicitate the other dignitaries on the stage, Professor Yogesh Chawla.
That time I never knew that Vijay had been designed by me.
Professor Arvind Rajvanshi. Yes. Professor Arvind Rajvanshi. Professor G.D. Puri.
Please clap, please clap.
And Professor Amit Chakravarti. Thank you, sir. May I now kindly request Professor Yogesh Chawla to felicitate our dear Director PGI, Professor Vivek Lal. A big round of applause. Thank you, sir. We are grateful to all of you for being the part of today's celebration. I now invite Professor R.R. Sharma for the closing remarks and a vote of thanks.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. I think our esteemed director, Professor Vivek Lal, has welcomed all of you, and he has been a guiding force behind this summit. Professor Chawla, former director and the initiator of this association, Rajvanshi sir, director AIMS Raebareli and my mentor and guide, and who was the president of our PCAS association, Professor G.D. Puri sir, our former dean, teacher, and our national convener of the event, and Dr. Amit Chakravarti sir, who is our esteemed alumnus and international convener for this event. My teachers in the audience, founder figures of the institute, and alumni from different parts of the world and nation. As we are really touched with your overwhelming response as we all gather today to pay respect to our alma mater, because as already has been said, that alma mater is bigger than anything else. So I just wanted to say that the story, I think it has been already highlighted by Dr. Chawla and Professor Lal, but the genesis and the beginning and the culmination of this summit is by the two phone calls. One, I think, as Dr. Chawla told me, he rang me up, Rati, you go to Professor Gaba and we want to initiate a platform. Because when a phone call comes from a director office, I was walking like this, I had to get straight, because there's a phone call from director's office. So I try to work with Dr. Gaba, we try to find out some bylaws, AIMS constitution, IIT constitutions, then took help of Dr. Vipin Kaushal, Dr. Rakesh Kapoor, and few senior colleagues that how to frame these bylaws. And then we could register the society in 2019, and we got support from our former director, Professor Jagat Ram also. But unfortunately, we could not conduct this sort of a summit due to COVID, because then we were somewhere hold out. But then one day, I think Dr. Lal called up. Rati, yaar, tusi karde kyun nahi kuch? Tusi kara karo. I have come to know that there is some sort of association, I think, because Dr. Amit Chakravarti met Dr. Lal, then he immediately called, is there something? Yes, sir, there is something. So you come to my office. We organized an online meeting, and sir, we are grateful to you. He promised on that online meeting of the executive committee that we will hold a global summit. So I think we should give a great applause to sir, that it is because of you that this event, this is the culmination of that event. And from our whole organizing team and executive committee, we highly express our basically sincere gratitude and your all support from the administration and from all quarters of the hospital administration and other areas who have supported us in convening this meeting. And we hope and we thank you all, and we hope that you all will have in these 2.5 days and enriching memories which you will take back. Cherish your old memories, share your nostalgias, and basically go back rejuvenated from your alma mater. So with this, I don't want to get longer in between the high tea and you. So I just say that long live our alma mater. Jai Hind, Jai Hind. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ratiram. Thank you so much. A lot has been said, showed, and discussed. So I just want to say, I thank you, each one of you, from the core of my heart for sparing your time today, this evening, with us, the august presence. Sir, please, if you wish to.
So I just want to point out one person who has been the unsung hero of this alumni meeting. None other than Dr. Atiraj Sharma, who was here. give him a big round of applause because he has been working day and night. We have had Zoom conferences. He has adjusted his timings of the Zoom conferences so that he could accommodate us from United States. And I have never seen a person so dedicated and so focused in my life. This guy made it happen, guys. Please give him a big hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amit. So before we wind up and conclude, I request you all to kindly rise for the national anthem.
Before we all disembark, a few housekeeping announcements. Alumni photograph will be there tomorrow at 12:30 in front of the Caron block, followed by the lunch, followed by the inauguration session at 2 o'clock, followed by the cultural program. Nodal officers of each department have been informed, and you can coordinate with them for the tomorrow's morning program. Transport to the hotel is available by the buses outside, and the contact person has already been informed. And for any other queries, I request you to contact Dr. Ravi Mohan. And now all the guests and delegates are requested to proceed for the high tea in the lawns adjoining Bhargava.